Duran. And Roberto Duran, he said, you know what? I believe I've essentially had enough. And he turned around his whole back to Sugar Ray Leonard. And Pastor, he raised up essentially his arms and he said to the referee, no mas, no mas. In his Spanish dialect, which simply means no more, no more. So in the middle of the 8th round, he decided to quit. And he decided to give up because it was getting a little too hot in the kitchen for him. And in the face of opposition, he decided to quit. So I began to take an account of my life and of Christian, this walk that we have with Jesus Christ. And I said, how are we defined? Because Roberto Duran is really remembered not for the fights that he won, but for this particular instance in this fight where he decided to say no mas, no mas. And if you just pray with me, I won't be with you long, but I feel like I'm going somewhere. So I asked myself, how are we defined in the face of opposition? Because if the truth be told, anybody can have a smile on their face when things are going well. It's easy to say God shall supply all my needs when I've got a job. It's easy to say God can do all things when everything seems to be going good for me. But when my back is up against the wall, how many people's back has been up against the wall? How do I handle the situation? Because I believe everybody goes through some type of storm. I mean, it may not have knocked on your door yet, but if you live long enough, if you hold out long enough, for I heard somebody say that either you're in a storm, you're going through a storm, or you're coming out of one. So everybody, keep on living. Come on. And you're going to face some opposition. So I asked myself, how are we defined when things aren't going our way and we're on the verge of throwing in the towel and we're on the verge of seemingly wanting to give up? When we're on the verge when we no longer have any hope and we think things aren't going to turn around. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but sometimes the thought has crept up in my mind. God, I serve you. God, I love you. But God, where are you? And I'm just reminded, and the thing about it is some of the most profound atheists make the argument of there not being a God based upon the sole notion that you can't see him. But I thank God for my grandmother. Young people, thank God for your parents and your grandparents. I thank God for my grandmother who sat me down at an early age. And she said, Kenny, you can't see air, but yet you still breathe it. Kenny, you can't see electricity, but yet every morning your alarm clock keeps on going off. But Kenny, don't be fooled by the alarm clock, because God is the only one who woke you up and allowed blood to run warm in your veins. God gave you the activity of your limbs and all your organs. Is there anybody in here that knows that God kept you in your right mind? I believe I have about 2 or 3 people on this morning that knows without a shadow of a doubt, if it had not been for the Lord on my side, I don't know where. I don't know where I would. Don't know where I would be. So the relevant question on this morning is, in the midst of my storm, what do I need to do to remember that no matter what it looks like, God is still in control? So I came across a believer in Jesus Christ who gave me just a little bit of inspiration and encouragement on not giving up. In our text on this morning, here we have Jesus returning to Cana again, and he is met by a royal official from Capernaum whose son is on the verge of death. The first thing you need to do to make it without breaking is, first thing, you need to swallow your pride. Just touch your neighbor and say, neighbor, swallow your pride. Now check this. Here we have not a peasant or a fisherman. But we have a court official of King Herod who travels from Capernaum to Cana just for an opportunity to see Jesus. See, the royal official knew that the only person that could help his son living was Jesus. See, everybody will reach a point in your life when honors, titles, money, degrees, and initials behind your name won't and will not do you any good. There will be some times in your life of desperation in which you can't prevent tears from rolling down your face. There will be some situations in your life that nobody but Jesus can see you through. I can imagine there were some people in his life that tried to discourage him and tell him that he was wasting his time following behind Jesus. Oh, you can sit here and look at me like you've never heard that before, but do you have anybody in your life that wonders why you take the time every Sunday morning to wake up and come to church and serve a God? I mean, I've got some people in my life that say, why are you in church so much? Because I'm sorry, because God has just been too good to me. God has opened up too many doors in my life in which I can't afford to give him some honor and I can't afford to give him some praise. Because every time I think about Jesus and what it does for me, my soul gets happy. And every time I turn around, he keeps on making a way. Oh, somebody doesn't hear what I'm talking about. He keeps on making a way out of nowhere. So I'm sure the certain official had some naysayers, some doubters. Why are you following Jesus? What's the point? Why are you so worried about getting in contact with him? But I tell you, don't let people or time dictate your persistence and your dedication towards God. I'm sorry, but I have too much hell going on in my life to let somebody or something keep me from Jesus. I have to swallow my pride sometimes. Sometimes it might have to take me to lift up holy hands. Sometimes I might have to shout with a loud voice. Sometimes tears might have to run down my face. I don't care what I look like, but my blessing may be in my next cry. My blessing may be in my next shout. My blessing and my deliverance may be in my dance. Because when I come to church, I know I should enter into his gates with some thanksgiving. And I should enter into his courts with some praise. And I should be thankful.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
And I should bless his holy name.
Bless him, Lord.
And check this. Here's what I like about him. And what I like about the man is the first thing is he swallowed his pride and he also went by himself. You don't see him anywhere in the story that he asked anybody to go with him, nor did he wait for anybody to go with him. See, some things you have to do for yourself, and you cannot worry about anybody else. Have you ever noticed that sometimes when you're in church and the altar call is given, that sometimes some people are a little hesitant about coming up, so you look around to see if somebody's going to move first. But I've reached a point of desperation in my life where I can't worry about you. I have to get it for me. And if I'm the only person that comes before this altar, so be it. Because God has something for me that I can't do with and I can't live without. See, the certain officials say, I ain't going to wait for nobody. I'm going to go by myself.
Come on, preacher.
The man swallowed his pride. And he began to beg Jesus to heal his son. Now, you're going to have to forgive me right here. And forgive me, and I'm going to apologize in advance for what I'm about to say. I don't want you to look at me any differently. But the man begged Jesus to heal his son. And the Temptations put it best. Oh, I know I'm not the only person that's ever heard of the Temptations. The Temptations said, I ain't too proud. I ain't too proud to beg. Do I have anybody in the house that's heard that before? I ain't too proud to beg. And I also had another person tell me that James Brown had a song in which he said, baby, please, please, please. Is anybody on my street on this morning? going to beg to Jesus. And check this, here's the thing that I don't understand is we beg